Utah Mammoth, that is now the official team name. We no longer have to call them the Utah Hockey Club, which thank God, that is a terrible name. But with Utah's surprise drop today, they also released what the logo looks like, what the jerseys look like. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at all of that. Before we do dive into it, if you're new to the channel and you like hockey jersey content, please make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. All right, let's take a look. First, let's talk about the team name, Utah Mammoth. Do I like it? I think it is pretty good. It's not my favorite. It wasn't my favorite when they did their first round of voting, like way back when they had the 20 names. It wasn't my favorite. It was in the top 5. Honestly, my biggest issue with it is the fact that it's not Mammoths, it's Mammoth. It's just one singular noun, but there is a reason for that. So this is from an ESPN article. According to the team, Utah chose Mammoth rather than Mammoths because it symbolizes one team, all in, all of Utah. Yeah, I guess I can see that perspective, but for myself personally, I still like Mammoths better. I still think it just flows off the tongue a little bit better, in my opinion. It's still a good team name. You know, it was the best option out of the final 3 when it was between Mammoth, Outlaws, and Hockey Club. Definitely the best out of those ones there. And I did actually like it over Yeti. I was never the biggest fan of Yeti. It was still okay in my mind, but I definitely preferred Mammoth over Yeti the entire time. So when they weren't able to use Yeti because of the Yeti cooler brand, I wasn't that upset about it like everyone else seemed to be. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. They'll use something else. It's fine. Now let's go on to taking a look at the logo itself. So this is the official logo, and to me, it's a little bit underwhelming. I'm not really quite too sure what it is. I think it probably has to do with the fact that we saw those leaked logos from the voting, the in-arena voting. You know, I think it was 3 months back when they were voting on the team names. They had the logos to go with it, and they were supposed to be just mock-up logos. And this one here, it does feel kind of similar to those mock-up logos. So this is the Mammoth logo that they had at the time, and then this is the actual logo. Now, it is improved. There is some different things. I like the fact that it looks a lot more menacing. It is charging forward, like they show in this graphic here, which is basically just, you know, marketing jargon to make it seem more important than it really is. But yeah, it does look a little bit better. But this logo kind of combines that Mammoth logo from the voting and the Hockey Club logo from that voting, which is funny because someone actually did that when that voting took place. It was Sad Perspective 4702. I kind of showed them in my video when I was talking about the leaks when they first took place. So they had already combined the logos, and that's what it looked like at the time. So Sad Perspective almost kind of predicted it a few months back, but yeah, I do think the new logo does look better than this combined logo right here. You know, it looks a little bit more beefy. It does look more angry, so it is, you know, kind of a better look, but to me, it still feels, I don't know, it's just not quite there for me, and I'm hoping that in a few months, I'll kind of come around to it. It's funny because in my video talking about the leaks, I said that I did like that logo and most people didn't. And I said that I think in a few months, people would come around to it. But now I'm kind of almost flipped on the other side where it seems like a lot of people do like this logo and it's me that is not really a huge fan of it. I think the reason why I don't like it as much as I did a couple of months ago is because with the concept, it was a concept. So, you know, I would probably have rated that concept a 7 out of 10 because in my mind, it's like, yeah, it's not bad, but they'll probably do a lot better with the official thing. And now it's the official thing. And so it's now, I would say, at a 6 out of 10. So it's not like it dropped a lot. It's not like it's, you know, terrible. There are things that I do like about it. Like I said, the menacing kind of look to it. That's good. I like the mountain range up top. I like the fact that, you know, kind of by the ear, or at least the back of the head, there is the outline of Utah. That is cool as well. That is a nice touch. Plus, at the bottom of that outline, there's a little bit of an M there for Mammoth. So yeah, there's that, which I think is pretty cool. But overall, as just a logo itself, not bad. It's not bad, not terrible. One that I hope that I will like in a couple of years' time. But now let's take a look at the jerseys, which, in my opinion, was the most disappointing aspect of this. I was going to say rebrand. It's not really a rebrand, but the official branding for Utah. So here are the jerseys. When I first saw this, I legitimately thought it was just a concept. I thought that Utah had announced their name and, you know, someone took that name, took, you know, kind of maybe the logo released, and they took all of those aspects and they threw it onto these jerseys and were like, this is what the jerseys could look like. That's what I assumed because this was the first image that I saw when I woke up. But these are the official jerseys. So let's dive into the home jersey first. It's pretty much just their inaugural season jerseys with the logo slapped on the front and the logos on the shoulders. I am so disappointed with this because the reason I kind of gave some leeway to those inaugural season jerseys is because they didn't have a team name, they had no branding. So the jerseys themselves were the most basic cookie cutter template jerseys. That's what they were, right? They didn't really have any theming to it. They didn't really have an identity. It was just, hey, we kind of like these colors. We think we'll probably use them. Let's just use a simple template that kind of gets the job done, and we'll figure it all out later. That was the impression that I got when those inaugural season jerseys released, but no, that's what we're getting. That is what we're getting, and it's really, really disappointing to me. I just really wanted them to do something different than those first-year jerseys, but the team itself, I know, we're kind of not wanting to do that a whole lot because of how well the jerseys sold. You know, when they put the jerseys up for sale, they sold out so quickly, and I have a different opinion on why I think they sold out. You know, with the team itself, I feel like they think the jerseys sold out so well because the fans connected to the brand, connected to the city, and they want to have those jerseys. They think the jerseys are so cool. And at least what I think the team thinks is that is the reason why the jerseys sold out. And obviously they have more data than me. They are, you know, in Utah. They definitely know a lot more than I do. But in my opinion, the reason the jerseys sold out as quickly as they did is because it's a new team. And fans like having jerseys of new teams, especially jersey collectors. They want to get the brand new thing. And also, we knew that this was an inaugural season, and at least most people assumed that these jerseys weren't going to come back. It wasn't going to be the exact same thing. Now, it is a little bit different. It's not the exact same thing, but at least in my opinion, I thought it was going to be real different. I did not think it was going to be similar whatsoever. So the fact that it is so similar is really disappointing to myself. I was hoping that they would either do a brand new color scheme or at least add a third color, you know, especially with Mammoth here. I would like a brown. I think a brown would be nice, but it feels like this color scheme was made for Yeti. They were hoping that they would get Yeti. They were assuming they were going to get Yeti. And when that kind of fell apart, they didn't really change anything. They just said, okay, I guess we'll just stick with what we have and throw Mammoth on the front instead of the Yeti. That's at least the kind of feeling that I get. So I'm not really a fan of the color scheme in this concept. I don't think it's a bad color scheme in general, but I would like, you know, like I said, that third color. I think the third color would really help out a lot, and maybe even also have blue as the primary color instead of having the black. I think that would also make it a little bit more unique. These jerseys don't really feel too unique, you know, kind of thinking about new teams coming into the league. With Vegas, they have the gold aspects to their jerseys, and that is kind of why, you know, those jerseys sold so well, is because of the gold itself. You know, I remember for myself back in the day, I was not a jersey collector whatsoever, but I saw the Vegas jerseys and I thought those are really nice, those are really cool, and that's what got me into jersey collecting back in 2018 was the Vegas jerseys themselves, because they had that unique aspect to it. I feel like with Seattle, you know, they kind of have the pattern in the arm there where it's kind of going into the depths of the ocean. That's a really nice thing. That's a really unique thing. But here with these Mammoth jerseys, there's not really a unique aspect to it. It just feels like a jersey. And that's kind of it. Now let's take a look at the shoulder patch real quick here. So this is what the shoulder patch looks like. It's not a bad shoulder patch. It's fairly basic. This one I'm not going to complain too much about here because it is just a secondary logo, and the secondary logos, you know, they don't always have to be something super special. Some jerseys, some teams have a really special secondary logo. Some teams, it's pretty basic. This one here, the hockey stick itself, I'm going to be honest, does feel a little bit awkward, I would say. It feels very awkward. I do also want to take a look at the logo on the jersey itself, a closer look at the logo, and the real disappointing thing to me with this logo here is, where is that 3D embroidery? We got so used to it with the prime green logos, and Fanatics did kind of carry that over into their first year, but at least with, I think it was the Stadium Series, the Columbus Stadium Series jersey, BW Hockey pointed it out, and I didn't really notice it until he pointed it out, but the logo did feel very flat on that jersey, and it feels the same thing here. I guess maybe Fanatics is going away from that 3D embroidery. I don't really know, but yeah, it feels not really quite like the logos that we've gotten used to over the past couple of years. So that is also quite disappointing. Some other things we can quickly point out as well. Inside the back of the collar, it has established 2024. that's fine. And they do also have a little bit of a change to their number kit. So this is what their previous number kit looked like. You can take a look at the 9 on the sleeve there. It kind of has the 9 coming up, right? This is the new number kit. So it's just flat across for the 9. So it's a little bit of a change to the number kit. Not a huge change. It looks okay. And then this is the full official home uniform. I'm looking at this one last because it is, it doesn't really look that great. The other pictures looked a lot better. But yeah, the one thing that I will say I like is the logo on the pants there. We'll take a closer look at that logo a little bit later on. We'll take a look at their kind of full set of logos and, texts and everything like that. But yeah, overall, pretty disappointing for the home. Now, let's move on to the away, which is a little bit of a different story, but it's still something that I really don't like. So the away jersey has Utah on the front. It's pretty much this jersey right here. It has the, new logo on the shoulders there, which is nice. At least they have that. And I guess the Utah text is slightly different than this one right here. It's italicized instead of just being, kind of straight down, straight across. So slightly different. I really, really, really don't like it at all. And it's funny because, obviously I'm wearing this jersey and this jersey is so similar to the new one, or the, new one, quote unquote. But the reason that I hate it so much is because there is not that brand synergy. It is basically what the Hurricanes are doing right now, and I hate so much what the Hurricanes are doing. I don't like their home and away whatsoever. I don't like when home and away jerseys don't match, at least in terms of the logo. It's funny because there are some teams that, don't have an exact same home and away jersey. The Montreal Canadiens, I actually like their away jersey more than their home. The Minnesota Wild also do that. I like their home jersey a lot more than their away. But those ones there, I think they're fine. I still would like for them to match, but it's not that big of a deal. With the Hurricanes, though, I despise what they're doing with their uniforms right now. I want them to pick a lane. I want them to have the same logo on their home and away jerseys. I don't like it whatsoever at all. And right here, yeah, they're doing the exact same thing as the Hurricanes are doing, and I hate it. I really, really do. They say they want to represent their state while they're on the road. There's a lot of different ways I think they could do that other than just having Utah on the front. Like even having something like Florida does, right? Like the Florida Panthers, they have Panthers on their home jersey, like right up top there for the logo. But then when they're on the road, they have Florida. So it's a little bit of a change there, and that is fine. I don't mind that. Obviously, it's a very, very small change, but you could do, I don't know, maybe something a little bit similar where, I don't know, you have Utah somewhere in the logo on the road, but don't have that on the home jersey. I guess it's just because I hate wordmark jerseys so much. I really do not like them that, this one here, it just, yeah, I'm not a fan of it really at all. I think maybe it would help a little bit better if they used that U with the little tusks going through it like we saw on the pants on the home uniform. And like I said, we'll take a closer look at that a little bit later on. If they use that U, I guess then it would be really, really similar to the Hurricanes because they have that special C in the Canes. Although I will say, I do hate the Canes jersey a lot more than this Utah one because even though it is, 2 word marks, the Canes one is a nickname word mark, and I hate those even more. So this one is a little bit better, but yeah, I still, I understand their thought process. I really do. It's just, I disagree with it. And it's, I guess, the same thing with the actual team name itself, where I understand their thought process on wanting to use Mammoth instead of Mammoths, but I just don't like it. I just disagree. Oh, I guess one very small thing that I just noticed here as well, looking at the actual neckline. So this little stripe right here is actually white on the new jerseys instead of being the light blue. So they changed that very, very slightly as well. Otherwise, yeah, it's the same thing. I just, yeah, not a fan. Let's take a look at their full kind of set of logos. So yeah, we have the Mountain Mammoth, the official primary logo that we saw, not bad. The Utah Tusk, or the U-Tusk, I do like that U. I think the U is kind of cool. I wish that they would use it in some other aspects on the jersey. I wouldn't mind that actually as a shoulder patch. I think that as a shoulder patch would be cool. Like I said, maybe have it on the actual away jersey for the U. That would be nice, but they didn't. It's fine. Mammoth Sands, it's okay. Font, not bad. And then, yeah, the Utah badge that we looked at a little bit earlier. Like I said, the hockey stick feels a little awkward to me. But, yeah, I don't mind the primary logo, and I don't mind that U-Tusk. I think those are kind of cool. The rest of them, yeah, fine. So, yeah, overall, I will be honest, I'm not super excited. I'm not super excited about this official branding for Utah. I was hoping after, waiting a year, and a half or however long it's been, just the wait that we've had, I was really expecting something better, something a lot nicer. I know they kind of had to change a little bit last minute with Yeti to Mammoth here, but just not vibing with it. And I think it's mostly down to the jerseys themselves. I think, if they did change up the jerseys quite a bit, I would maybe be vibing with this rebrand a lot more. Because like I said, I don't mind the logo. I don't mind the team name. They're not my favorites out there. I don't think they're fantastic, but they're fine. I think they're serviceable. And maybe in a couple of years, I'll like them a lot more than I do currently. But with those jerseys, it's just really, really disappointing to me, and that's, I think, what really brings this one down. So, yeah, I am not super happy with it, but I'm also not a Utah fan, so it's not like they're trying to make me happy. They're trying to make the Utah fans happy, and hopefully they do. If you're a Utah fan, I would love to know what you think. I mean, if you're just a Jersey fan in general, let me know. But yeah, specifically those Utah fans, if there's any that watch me, I don't actually know. If there's any that do, I would love to hear your guys' opinion, because yeah, it's, to me, not a huge positive, but those are just my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. Like I said, comment down below what you guys think. And that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.